like the way I say things, and he said everybody agrees you should still come. So you're gonna get, you asked for it, you asked for this, you're gonna get what you're gonna get. So for everybody with kids here, I would highly suggest you take them out right now. And I'm going to use some language here, and there's a term I'm going to be using a number of times, and it's going to be the word animals. But I want you to keep this in mind. The word animals is used to describe a type from a specific demographic. Because if you behave in a certain way, I'm going to call you a motherfucking animal. That's gonna happen. So let me start this off by saying that hashtag Stop Asian Hate. A number of people have spoken about it. You're actually wrong on some accounts. I'll correct you. Don't worry about it. And but in short, here's my thesis statement: the hashtag Stop Asian Hate is fundamentally useless as fuck. And here's why. So first off, if you guys don't know, Stop Asian Hate only came around after that one white guy did what he did in Atlanta. Only after that. Here's where the leftist media fucked up though. We have access to the internet. These people still think it's the 90s where the mainstream media is the only thing we have access to. You done fucked up. The internet is here. And we saw, all of us, we saw how quiet you were when it was blacks attacking us at disproportionate rates. And by the way, speaking of which, that's been going on for decades. Don't believe me? Okay, here's a statistic. The black thugs from the black community, animals, they've been attacking us at a disproportionate rate of 280 to 1 than the other way around for decades now. It's more than just recently. That study comes from the Justice Department from 2018. Why is the 2018 date so important? Because that was before the coronavirus thing. Do you understand why that's important? Okay, so even before adjusting for population, they attack us at a rate of 280 times more than we attack them. Because let's face it, Asian Americans, we're just not built that way. We mind our own business, we work hard, and for that we're currently being punished. I'll address that in a little bit too. So, stay with me. But yeah, so that only came around after the white guy did it, right? And the reason why they decided to do that only after the white guy did it was because they needed to find a way to hijack Asian American votes like they did with black votes in BLM, right? Because here's the thing. Because here's the thing. When Candace Owens and Brandon Tatum started Blexit, and when Lexit became a thing from Jesse, my friends over there, Jesse, the rest of them, I called it a long time ago. The Democrats are slowly going to start losing the black and Latino vote, and the recent voting demographics show what the vote was for Trump. It's like nothing we've ever seen before from the black and Latino demographics. And I called it, they're gonna go after the Asians next. Here's the problem with trying to go after Asians though. We're not that emotional. I'm not saying we're sociopaths, I'm not saying we're psychopaths, but as far as like not being driven by emotion, even other blacks will agree. The black and Latino community are very emotional people. Don't believe me? Go to an Asian party, go to a black party, go to a Latino party, see how boisterous we are. We're not, right? Even drunk, we're not, because we pretty much just pass out, don't we? Right? But relatively, compared to the black and Latino, we're just not. Which is why it's easy for Democrats/liberals to hijack their votes with their feelings through art, Hollywood, music industry. It's easy to hijack their feelings by continuing to say you're a victim, but if you vote for us, we can help you. It's easy to hijack their feelings, which is what art is based on, through movies, music, television, shit like that, right? It doesn't work on Asians, because we'll just watch that and be like, aw, anyway, so this math problem, right? Because we want to make money. And they knew it wouldn't work on us that way. They've never dealt with potential voters like us before. We are way smarter than average. Even statistics will show that. It doesn't work with us. And so how do you hijack the people that are just that awesome? I'll tell you how. They went the Sandy Hook route, right? Personal tragedy. Let's find the way in, because it's not an art form anymore. It's personal. So only after that did they do the Stop Asian Hate. So someone here recently said, oh, Stop Asian Hate is bullshit. I think it was this gentleman over here. Let me correct you for a second. It's not, if conservatives saying Stop Asian Hate is bullshit, it's not us trying to deny the fact that there are hate crimes against Asians right now. We're saying it's bullshit that only now it's going around because leftists have decided, oh, this is the perfect, the nuance gets lost. Okay, cool. But But it's only after that they decided, oh, it's white people bad, white people bad. And they obviously they want to still tie this to Trump. The reason, okay, here's a key ingredient to defeat the left at this particular rhetoric. They say that it's still all based on white supremacy, all because Trump was the one that said, oh, it's the China virus. That's what they're saying. That's how they tie it back into white supremacy. Oh, it's Trump's fault because Trump said China virus. Here's the thing, as a Korean American, I don't give a fuck what you call it. Is it from China? Good, then shut the fuck up, right? Look, if a flu came from Korea, they'd be like, if they'd said it's the Pyongyang virus or the Gangnam virus, okay, it's true. Right? Look, I was born in South Korea. I came here when I was 10 months old. All right, my first language isn't even English, right? So if they, even then, if they said it's the Gangnam virus, you know, I'd make a joke about it. Like, are they talking about me? I am the virus. You don't believe me? Watch what your kid. Listen to what your kids will be saying later when you take them home after they hear me speak. But my point is, that's how they're tying it into white supremacy. Trump said China virus. Here's the thing though, the overwhelming majority of the attacks are coming against us from a demographic, and the type of people from that demographic, animals, who say, who are the same people who are for BLM and therefore anti-Trump, anti-conservative, anti-that. You're telling me these people for some reason who hate Trump and are for BLM also are the same type of people that take Trump seriously enough to say, oh, he's right about that, let's go attack the Asians? I'm sorry, does that make any sense to you fucking people? Right? So, here's the thing. Even if that were the case, even if they were inspired by Trump to attack Asians at a disproportionate rate, which by the way it's something that's been going on for decades now, don't believe me? Ask the roof Korean that was just here. His name is Tony Moon. He'll tell you. Ask any Korean that was alive in Los Angeles during 1992. He'll tell you. So, even if it were true that that's what they're getting their cues from to attack Asians, that's still not a white supremacy problem. You know what is it? It's a stupid fucking person problem. And let me tell you why. If you hear Trump say it's the China virus, and for some reason you hear that, and in your mind you register it as, oh, open season on Asian people, it doesn't matter if they're Chinese or not, open season on Asian people. That's not a Trump or white supremacy problem, that's a dumb motherfucker problem. Okay? That is your fucking problem. It is not a white supremacy problem. Alright? And by the way, isn't it funny, a gentleman here just addressed critical race theory. Let me capitalize on that right quick. Isn't it funny that, so critical race theory states that Asians are white adjacent, right, because of our success levels. So just the other day, they were categorizing us the same as white people, but now they're saying, now that they need us to be victims to try and get our votes. Now all of a sudden, stop Asian hate, bitch. You hated us going into college so much that you decided to exclude us. Fuck you and your family. So, do you guys want me to keep going, or? I mean, no offense to everybody else, but this is the most excited I've seen this crowd since the other old people came here. I'm younger by you guys by far, right? I just turned 33. Still got that testosterone left. The rest of you, I don't know. So, yeah, so only now are they saying stop Asian hate. I'm sorry, that's just, but again, we're a lot smarter than that. We have the internet. We saw how quiet you were for everybody else. So with critical race theory, here's why it's so dangerous, and check the logic in this, okay? Critical race theory states that Asians are white adjacent. Critical race theory also states that you can't really be racist against white people. So if Asians are white adjacent and you can't be racist against them, does it make sense why there's an increase in attacks against Asians from the same demographic that loves critical race theory the most? Are you guys seeing the logic in this? Okay, and here's a convergence of multiple problems. The critical race theory states that, here's what BLM has to say about it. BLM is an openly Marxist organization. Marxism is based on the concept of there is an oppressor class and an oppressed class, right? That's the only way it works in Marxism. Now, in Marxism, they're saying, according to BLM's version of Marxism, the oppressor class in this are white people, and the oppressed class are blacks and only blacks, okay? If Asians are also considered white adjacent, aren't we now part of the oppressor class as well? Right? That's the only way BLM works. That's the way Marxism works. So they're not mad at white people. Really, BLM as a Marxist organization is mad at successful people. Do you see why they would go after Asians while being Marxist and also adhering to critical race theory? Fuck them. Fuck them. Goddamn right. Woman in the colorful shirt. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is, there are going to be some liberals out there who are writing, Asian liberals at that, pathetic, who are riding the fence saying, oh, but the Democrats still care about people of color. That's not true. Maybe so. Too bad they consider Asians white adjacent, right? Well, white adjacent until I get shot by a white guy, in which case now I'm a poor minority who needs their help. You got to ask yourself this: as far as the concept of minorities needing help goes, isn't it funny that the one major voting racial demographic that's never been touched by the Democrats, they didn't bother pandering to us because we make too little of the voting bloc, right? So isn't it funny how the one group they left alone to fend for ourselves is also the one group doing better than everybody else in terms of average income rate, average education rate, average nuclear family rate, average crime rate, or lack thereof? Isn't it funny how we're the one group that the one group Democrats have left alone are the ones that are outperforming everybody else, even white people, by the way, statistically speaking? Isn't it funny? You know why? Because they didn't have the time or the bandwidth to create a system of dependency on them. We just do better, and that's why it took them so long to try to figure out how to hijack our votes. But now they're trying. Now they're trying. Are we going to let them? And you know what, let me just say this. I heard too many Asian leaders here continuing to speak about how nice we need to be, love, unity, all that horseshit. Look, we tried. Okay, we tried. Asians have tried that for far too long, which is part of the reason why they think it's okay to steamroll us. Here's the reality of the situation. Somewhere along the line, Asians, particularly Asian men, have been hijacked, especially the younger generation Asian, and we've been hijacked by that K-pop feminine bullshit. What we need to do is go back to our roots, okay? And by roots, I mean Tony Moon, Roof Koreans. Where you at? What? There he is.
There he is.
So the 1990s Roof Koreans, right? They become legendary. They set a precedent. There's a reason why when the George Floyd riots were at its peak not too long ago, every part of LA got touched, even Chinatown and Little Tokyo, other Asian enclaves, but they made a wide path around Koreatown for a reason, because they all know what will happen. Center mass, you fucking animals. Now here's the thing. We need to get back to that tradition. We need to get back to what it was before our youth got hijacked by college, leftist college administrators, professors. We need to go back to a time where it was family first. And then because it was family first, we also, by extension, and the Roof Koreans can attest to this, it was also country, because this country gave us the opportunity to take care of our families in a way we never thought we could. And they want to come up to us and take that from us. Here's the thing. You got to stop trying to be nice. Asians, culturally, we have a bad habit of trying to play by the rules. We have a bad habit of trying to we're too quiet. For the Asian Americans out there, you don't have to. The reason why it's called Asian American is because it gives you an opportunity to take the best of both worlds and try to make something more, be better, be stronger. Taking the American aspects of being loud, vocal, taking initiative, action, the cowboy route, that doesn't make you less Asian. It just doesn't. But somewhere along the line, we lost that concept, and the problem with Asians is we like to stay in line the most. I'm sorry, that just doesn't work. How has that worked out for us so far? Being steamrolled by these fucking animals out there and their supporters? So when push comes to shove, don't try to beg, don't try to plead, get on the rooftops, aim for center mass, right? And here's the thing, with respect to the police officers, if you're a blue state or city cop and you're ordered to stand down, like they did with Los Angeles during the 1992 riots, if you're ordered to stand down, you will have, a lot of these BLM, dumb savages that are out there, like, they love to say, oh, police brutality, police brutality. Okay, let me break it down to you like this. You think the police are brutal? Do you have any idea what a pissed off Korean is capable of on a rooftop? You fucking savages. You dumb fucking animals. Every last one of you. So yeah, stop going the nice route. Get on the rooftops, shoot if necessary. Cause fuck them. Does that sound hateful? I don't give a fuck, right? So by the way, speaking of police brutality, it's funny when black liberals are always like, oh, the police are after us, police are after us. Isn't it funny how you also conveniently forget to mention what the Asian crime rates are? Why do you think the police don't go after us? You think it's somehow connected to the fact that Asians statistically also, even without adjusting for population, we just don't commit crime? You want to hear a fun fact? The black community is 13%, and when you include men and women, they're 13% of the US population. Statistically, they're responsible for more than 50% of the violent crime. Here's the thing, when conservatives tout that statistic, that's us being generous. You have to cut that by half, because when you factor in testosterone, and the fact that testosterone accounts for aggression, when you factor in testosterone and the fact that men are overwhelmingly the violent criminals in almost all the cases, you have to cut that by half to get rid of the women. So if you're really left with about 5-6%, okay, cut that, you gotta shave that down even more, because you got to get rid of the elderly and the children because they're not physically capable, right? So you're really left with about 4, maybe 3% of the population committing about 50% of the violent crime. No wonder why the police go after you more than everybody else. It's not a color problem. It's a dumb fucking person problem. And out of those criminals, and those criminals, the crimes, the assault, violent assaults, we know where they're targeting now. We know, don't we? It's us, and it's been us for quite some time. And if you don't think that'll start spreading to the Latino community as well, you're fucking wrong. Just recently, a Latino woman got beat up because she happened to look Asian. I've seen a lot of Latinos and Latinas, that pass for Asian. She got beat up because of that. In Texas, during the height of the George Floyd riots, they try to practice extortion on a Cuban restaurant owner, saying you're part of gentrification. But the thing is, just until yesterday, gentrification just meant the white people moving into inner cities to set up businesses, but all of a sudden now it includes Cuban people too, right? There is no way to satisfy them because, like I said before, BLM is Marxist. It's not a color problem, it's a anybody more successful than us problem. And the reason why they never want to address that, the reason why Democrats never want to address Asians at all. When's the last time you heard a Democrat, until recently, when's the last time you heard a Democrat address Asian issues? It's always been black and Latino, right? The reason why they never want to talk about Asians is this simple. If you address Asians, you're going to have to address why we're doing so well. If you address why we're doing so well, you're going to have to address that it's cultural. If you address that it's cultural, you're going to have to see why other cultures or people from other cultures are not doing so well. If you do that, you have to figure out what's wrong with that culture that's keeping them from doing so well. If you do that and you look into the black community, you're going to see that culturally, blacks have always voted Democrat and asked for them for help. And then the world will see that the one group that didn't ask for help from the Democrats and depended on them like children were the one group doing better than everybody else. Does that make any fucking sense to you people?
Yeah.
All right, I've cussed enough. Your children are scarred. And my point is this. If there's one thing I want to leave you with, for the Asian Americans out there, especially the young ones who are around my age, and I'm really young, look around. Learn to speak up, whether that's just on social media or not. That's how I got my start. Look, when I first started this journey just about, 9 months ago, I didn't think I'd be in things like this. I just didn't. And kind of overnight, which is unheard of, if you're not showing your ass and titties on Instagram, you don't just grow this quickly overnight. But overnight, I'm at 15,300 followers, which might not seem like a big number, but again, I did it without showing ass and titties. That's a big thing for Instagram, for those who don't know. Now, the reason why I did what I did was because I'm Korean. I'm Asian just like the rest of you. I had the bad habit of sitting, waiting around for someone else to do something like this first, and nobody was doing it. So I finally did it, and now I'm where I'm at. And I started something called the Axit movement. If you guys don't know what that is, Candace Owens started the Blexit movement for black people to stop voting Democrat. Blexit became a thing too. So if you guys follow me on my Instagram, it's The Korean Conservative, exactly how it's spelled. I founded the Axit movement, which is, Blexit is the black exit from the Democratic Party. Lexit is the Latino exit. It's based off of Brexit, which is Britain moving away from communist Europe. So Axit is the Asian exit from the Democratic Party, right? So if you go to my Instagram, you can find the link to the Axit movement. Share your conservative or libertarian, because that's enough to be called a Nazi these days. Share your conservative journey as an Asian American on that page. Right now, that's the only page where people can congregate to do that. We've made friends there. We've made colleagues there. It's going to be great. But that's just a platform for you to start speaking up. Later on, you're able to do this like I'm doing now, if you gain enough momentum, but it's gotta start somewhere. Start speaking up. If you can't be a roof Korean in person like Tony Moon, be a roof Korean at heart. We lost that along the way. It doesn't have to be like that, all right, guys?
Thank you, Daniel. Wow. People said, are you sure you're gonna invite this guy? And I'm really glad I did. Please give him another hand of applause. We're wrapping up, people, I promise.